Will the New York Mets look to bring Jose Iglesias back to the 2025 roster, or is the OMG era officially over in Queens? Let's get into it. All right, Mets fans, welcome back to the True Mets Talk podcast. It's your boy CP. And as always, before we get into the Jose Iglesias discussion, make sure to go ahead and hit those thumbs up buttons, subscribe to the channel if you are new. And if you want to be listening to more videos, streams, and participating in polls all off season long, this is the channel to be on. I got you all covered. And please, as always, drop those comments down below. I make it a point to try to respond to everybody that takes the time to watch these videos and comment their thoughts and opinions down below. Let's talk Jose Iglesias because this is going to be such a unique situation, and we'll get into it on the next couple of slides and why Jose Iglesias could be a candidate to return, but he would potentially be taking the final roster spot in a given scenario for the 2025 New York Mets. Obviously, we know how much Jose Iglesias means to this organization, not only with the production that we saw on the field in 2024, and not only with his amazing hit single OMG, he brought some different type of energy to the New York Mets club, to the clubhouse, and that was very apparent given where the Mets were at in 2024 prior to him being called up from AAA. I dropped a True Mets Talk player evaluation, a player spotlight on Jose Iglesias. If you missed that, that was also while we were still in season. I'll link that in the description down below in case you are interested. But again, the importance and the camaraderie was something that we stressed, Rob and myself stressed after the 2023 season, where it seemed like not only the season was dead in terms of the win-loss record, but the team and the vibes and the gelling or lack thereof was also in the dumps. And that situation was definitely not evident at all in 2024. You see this picture to my left right here with Lindor, Sevy, who I will be making a separate video here in this next week, perhaps even tomorrow or so, regarding Luis Severino, and also Jose Iglesias, right? The OMG sign, the OMG concert performance, it was just a total vibe this entire season. And I've been on record this offseason saying that I want Mr. Jose Iglesias back on the New York Mets in 2025. I think he's got a lot to offer to any team in this league, and the Mets could definitely use his services, but it gets a little bit tricky in terms of taking an early look at the roster projection for the New York Mets when they have to cut down to about 26 guys before opening day. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do in this video. Hopefully you all can follow along. I know this is a very early projection, but it's fun to have these conversations, and it's important to have these discussions surrounding these final roster spots that the New York Mets are going to try to make decisions on. Okay, this is a very early look at a projected roster offensively for the New York Mets when you take a look at hitters 1 through 9 and also the 4 bench pieces. As you all know, 13 pitchers on the roster means 13 position players, presumably, for any given team in the MLB come opening day. And you see here, the left-handed side of your screen, in that rectangle, I have my projected lineup for the New York Mets come opening day. Now, we've had so many discussions surrounding multiple different free agents, and we'll continue to have these discussions. We've had discussions about the New York Mets potentially trading for a true center fielder this offseason, but with everything remaining consistent, maybe the addition of Juan Soto, which is highly speculated, and we'll also be talking about on our Mets Hot Stove Live tonight. I'll link that in the description down below as well at 6 p.m. So come join us in the live chat. You know, everything else is remaining consistent in this scenario that I'm giving you all right now. And in that situation would be the discussion surrounding center field, with the Mets going the internal route with a combination of Tyrone Taylor and Drew Gilbert as your center field platoon. But when you take a look at the bench allocations given this scenario and what the Mets might have going for them, we know that Luis Torrens is going to be the backup catcher. Francisco Alvarez will be the starting catcher come opening day. And you know that Luis Angel Acuna is presumably going to make this team. At least I would think there's a great chance for him to make this team, given what he did for the New York Mets over that week and a half stretch of Lindor's absence, and just given his sure-handed ability up the middle, whether it's at second base or shortstop. But really what it comes down to here is the open spot as your fourth bench piece. Who is it going to be for the New York Mets? And this is where you get into the discussion of going the internal route again, in a name that I've talked about on this channel, potentially being traded for a guy like Garrett Crochet, or if he's retained, making a very large contribution to this team versus a guy like Jose Iglesias, who we know we're going to get an established veteran presence, a utility man in terms of being able to play shortstop, second, or third base on any given day. And this is where we head down the route of the debate between Ronnie Mauricio and Jose Iglesias. Now, again, if you missed my Garrett Crochet video, I did have him included in a potential deal while sending Ronnie Mauricio back to the Chicago White Sox in that compensation to the White Sox for Garrett Crochet. But if there is a scenario where the New York Mets just simply are valuing the presence of Ronnie Mauricio and they like his upside, as do I really do like Ronnie Mauricio's game. Please, just because I'm including him in those trade conversations does not mean that I don't like his game. We know the uncertainty surrounding the injury that he sustained and how that's healing. We really don't have any concrete news if he's going to be ready for spring training. I'm going to assume that he is in this given scenario, and it should be a toss-up in terms of what the Mets decide here. Are they going to rely and trust in Ronnie Mauricio to make an everyday or at least a bench contribution to this roster moving forward? Or are they going to shop him? Or even if they don't shop him and they retain him, are they going to bring in that insurance at least to start out the 2025 season with a guy like Jose Iglesias? And you see the statistical values for both of these guys. Ronnie Mauricio, a very short sample size at the major league level, only playing 26 games to end that 2023 campaign before he inevitably went down with that ACL injury in winter ball that caused him to miss the entirety of 2024. And you see here the 2024 values for Jose Iglesias in 85 games played for the New York Mets at the major league level, over a 330 batting average, over an 800 OPS, only 26 RBIs and 6 stolen bases. So that's kind of where you factor the electricity factor of Ronnie Mauricio. He's got more power. He hit 2 home runs in his 26 games. That power number should go up. He's got gap-to-gap power, which is important, but also the speed and the ability to drive runners in, which we saw in that very short 26-game sample size right here. That could be the difference between these two guys. But in addition to the fact that Ronnie Mauricio is a switch hitter with tremendous capabilities from the left-handed side, which we know was a struggle for the New York Mets in terms of having that lefty presence in the lineup. But there is a scenario where Ronnie Mauricio, is on the 40-man roster. They see him in spring training. They assess him in spring training. But before that, they already have their minds made up in terms of him going down to AAA to begin the season and just bringing back Jose Iglesias. The other part of this conversation that we have to talk about is who represents Jose Iglesias now, as we just found out within the past week and a half, which is Scott Boras. That is his new agent in charge of getting Jose Iglesias a new contract. And also the market for a guy like Jose Iglesias, who is a utility man and proved himself on the 2024 New York Mets in terms of the production that he can bring. There's going to be a lot of teams trying to place bids in for Jose Iglesias, because every team in the major leagues, no matter what the situation is, could use him as perhaps a starter, but 100% a bench piece, just like the New York Mets are going to look to do perhaps in this offseason. So let me know what you all think. Is it realistic to see Jose Iglesias back? Per Spotrac, his market valuation is set at 1 year, given the age, worth about $1.7 million, give or take. You can potentially even go up to $2 million to sweeten the pot a little bit for Scott Boras and Jose Iglesias. But let me know, Mets fans, would you prioritize bringing Jose Iglesias back? And if it came down to this situation where the Mets needed to make a decision this offseason between a guy like Ronnie Mauricio and a guy like Jose Iglesias, who would you be in favor of? And again, just because if you choose Jose Iglesias does not mean that Ronnie Mauricio won't be a part of this organization. So don't think that's the case. Again, a lot of moving parts to this situation. But as we saw in this slide right here, if this is the situation that presents itself to the New York Mets, who are you going to prioritize with that last bench spot? Let me know in the comment section down below. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this content and if you enjoy these conversations, and make sure to hit those thumbs up buttons. It's your boy CP. Thank you for tuning in. See you all on the next video. Peace.
Thank you for watching the True Mets Talk podcast. Make sure you're tapping on that notifications button and checking out all the latest content on the channel. Thank you.